everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of I Cast Fireball, an actual play 5e D&D adventure where we go through the campaign Skulls and Shackles here in Season 2. But this week, we got a word of recall!
Foley work.
And we're going to be recalling Season 2 episodes. These episodes, Ned, what are the episodes that we are going to be focusing on in this Word of Recall?
They are episodes 37 through 48.
I'm sorry, Ned. When I could have just looked it up on Discord, but we're going to be looking at all the way up to the Ballad of Glenn Levitt here. Round the table, we've got
Nikki, and I play Ignis Halcón.
Jacob, and I play Maximus Shans.
I'm Ned, and for the purpose of these episodes, I play Ataraxia Kalians.
I'm Josh, and from now until his death, I am Buster Bilgewater.
Gosh.
Wow.
His inevitable death.
His inevitable,
We've been planning for it
clearly
for
being
years.
foretold by story. Also, just to clarify, you said up to the Ballad of Glenn Levitt, but it starts kind of at the Ballad of Glenn Levitt. This section.
Oh, is it?
It's the fish. It's the fish.
Guys.
The fish caves.
The fish people.
It's that whole arc. The whole Sahuagin cave arc.
We will be doing Tickle Me Intrigued through Shut Up, Wesley. It
Great
is the
place to-
entirety
great
of
place
the
to stop.
underwater Sahuagin adventure.
Yeah, forget the Ballad of Glenn Levitt. That's past. That's the last
That's right.
one.
Without further ado, let's begin the questions here that you have been sent over from you folks. Before we begin, because I just forgot, and we're going to be shouting out all the people who sent us questions in. That's right, Johannes Vern, Actual Vampire, Mark Steelbound, Brenda Lugorasi, and we've got our last person who sent in questions, Carter LaRoque. So thank you for sending in questions. If you wanted to get a question answered on a Word of Recall, shoot us an email, icastfireball2020@gmail.com, or you can go to our patreon.com/icastfireball20 and join our Discord, where you can drop them at any time as the episodes release themselves. So without further ado, Ned, let's do this fate die thing, yeah?
Let's roll it. And we're starting with a Lonely Thomas question. So, Thomas, there have been a lot of entertaining NPCs with fun voices in this block of episodes, such as Sir Royster, Lady Smythe, Knuckles the Echidna, the Lower Decks NPCs. Who is your favorite NPC voice to do?
Could I just ask a preliminary question? What did Sir Royster sound like?
My lady
No,
Smythe.
Ned. It was a Thomas quiz. I was betting he would not remember and have to pull out some other voice.
That's why I was stepping in for him.
You got his back so hard.
Good friendship.
I wanted to put him. I'm not a good friend, I guess.
Inspiration
Yeah.
die.
Oh, there we go. See, that's how you get inspiration, people.
Is that how we get
Inspiration to be used.
inspiration? Is that how we do it?
Inspiration
Sucking
die
up
to be used
Thomas
in Word of
outside of
Recall.
campaign?
Sorry, please answer the question. I'm so
Dang
sorry for
it.
that diversion.
I think Knuckles was my favorite to use because he was so dumb. He was such a dumb creature, humanoid, and a clear, obvious ripoff from Knuckles from the actual Sonic the Hedgehog franchise. As you look at their picture, you can actually go look them up. Skulls and Shackles, Knuckles, and you're like, wow, that is Knuckles in human form. It looks like with the red mohawk.
I really thought it was you doing the boulder from Avatar, which is them
I thought so too.
doing a wrestler from the WWE. So it's you doing a character of a character from a show that is a character itself.
I'm just a dude pretending to be a dude, pretending to be another dude.
That's how it
Brother.
I know who I am.
Next up, a character question.
Character questions. All right, this one is for Mickey. It says, Mickey,
That's me.
you've mentioned that you like multi-classing. Do you prefer that for adding to the story or for mechanics?
Oftentimes I like multi-classing because I like finding interesting things that combine to then that like leads into interesting, like usually it's like with Malamara was the barbarian. I liked the idea of the totem and taking over those things, but it's also hard to give up magic as a melee player and how to make things that don't necessarily mesh actually do mesh very interestingly, or the challenge of how do you play a spell casting class with a specific class that's not allowed to do spells when they're raging, which is the whole point of their class, was an interesting challenge that I think leads into story things of why she chooses to do different things. It allows me as a player to make interesting choices because the mechanics of the game have given me a challenge, or I've set the challenge for myself to make it make sense.
Challenge.
I like to make this game hard on myself. I don't know.
Fair enough.
Right on.
That's really it. I like making it hard for myself.
Okay.
Next up, we've got another Lonely Thomas question.
Wow, it's me.
So, Thomas, you've done a lot of modules with homebrew mixed in, either to make the
Yes.
modules cross or to add like character backstory, or just because you had some of your own stuff you wanted to run through. Any chance after the season we'll see the homebrew world of your own design? Or are you so pumped for something like Storm King's Thunder that Season 3 will be another healthy mix of module and homebrew?
That's a great question. Will we see my own homebrew world in Season 3 or future season, or like in a one-shot or things like that? I think that's the path a lot of Dungeon Masters take, right? Is eventually, as they create so much, they have so much homebrew ideas that spill out into their games, and they're testing them. They've got like unique races, and they've got all that stuff, and like unique ideas. I don't necessarily love world building from the ground up as a Dungeon Master or creative a writer, if you consider DMs to be writers, right? I really enjoy the relationships and the consequences of actions when it comes to story building, more than I like world building. That's one of the big reasons why I use modules already established in a world. The world, I try to ingest as much information about that world as possible, but if I don't like something, then I change it because it's more intriguing, more interesting to me. Especially if a character or player is reacting in a specific way. So I'm going to say this is very unlikely. Although I did at one point start to create my own world, it wasn't very unique necessarily in world building, which I'm not saying world building has to be unique. It's just whatever you want to do. It was mainly just more like a thought exercise and creative exercise before we actually began iCast Fireball. So it was like a creative outlet for myself personally. And then once iCast Fireball came out, I found that creative outlet, that creative itch being satisfied in that way, not needing to create and expound upon a unique homebrew world. So I'm going to say pretty confidently no. And for Season 3, we probably will see a similar situation here that we've seen in Season 1 and 2.
Yeah, I just, as my personal take for any DMs out there who are trying to decide between the two, I think modifying existing modules kind of highlights what is best about both. Because like the difficulty of using a pre-written module is, sure, it's already been written, but then you have to try and remember all of the details that are in the book if you try and hold yourself fast to it. And then with homebrewing your own world, you don't have any like lore that you're beholden to aside from what you just make up on your own, but it is a lot of work beforehand to put all that stuff together. So if you take a pre-written module and say, I'm not going to like hold anything too holy within this book, I'm going to change anything as I want, it becomes a great inspiration, and you can like stay true to as many of the details as you want, but it leaves you really flexible to just do whatever you want from that point forward.
And you don't get pigeonholed in running an adventure like that into your own personal preference as a writer-creator. You might not like or understand political conflict, but some of these modules do. And so you're like, all right, they say this is kind of like the setup, and then in the moment you're like, whoa, this is actually really cool how my players interacting with that. I never would have thought of that, the societal structure here. So it adds variety that you would not have been able to create on your own.
My advice would be so different. It would be spend one entire year making up everything you can think of for an entire world. And inevitably when your players ask you questions you did not think of answers to, you just make it up on the spot and no one will ever know. And that is the beauty of homebrew.
Wonder if anybody's speaking from experience here.
I'm pretty sure that's what both Rita, Sneak Attack, and I did. Just made it up on the spot most of the time and just like canon now.
There you go.
Both great worlds, both wonderful ways to approach it.
But honestly, I've been very impressed with the module stuff that you guys do. It's really, new for me and very cool.
Right on.
Fantastic.
Thanks, everybody, for listening to our mini episode of Commune with DM. Now,
Hey, there we go. It's been
next, we've got a behind-the-scenes question.
a while. Behind the scenes.
And
That's
this
me.
is that's Jack.
Okay, this is, I think, just a ridiculous question on its face, though I understand why it's being asked. How many board games does each cast member have?
Thomas, you want to turn your camera just to show your entire
I will.
closet?
If you want to
and-
see, how many board games I have, you can join our Patreon.com
I think we could probably
to get the video version.
I
of
think
this.
the number would be hard to land on. I think you could basically ask
All right.
do we have lots or not lots?
All right.
And
This is also a podcast, so we
is
can
for our
describe
video.
what we're reviewing right now.
Yep.
it's
Yes.
Thomas has lots.
Thomas
It's
has
literally
lots.
he has
Thomas
a
has
bookshelf
the most
wall
lots.
A whole wall.
He has a
of
whole
board games.
wall of games, and that's
Basically a
not
game
even the
store.
closet that's behind him.
In his
that's full
office.
of, or the wall in the outside of this room that he's sitting in that also has games on.
And he's
Or
making
the
game
ones
pieces
upstairs that he
with
has
3D
upstairs.
printers.
Last I counted, I've got over 170 board games.
Yeah.
How big I would describe it is if I had that many board games, I would be uncomfortable putting a number to them because then I would be forced to face up to my depravity.
Yeah. accurate.
There is an addendum here as well, which is what's your favorite?
Yeah, what's your favorite board game,
Yeah,
Thomas?
favorite Thomas.
You have your 170
in front of
current.
your whole wall of games. You tell those games which one is your favorite.
I have a top
I would
five.
add specifics to this question the same way I do with movies. Is I think of favorites
Right now?
as which one you can do over and over and over and over again. So my favorite movie
Yeah.
are the movies I could watch repeatedly ad nauseum. And so what's a board game that you enjoy playing and you could play every single day?
Look at your stats. What one do you play the most?
I do know the one actually in my I also record all wins and losses in every
Yeah,
board
he
game
does.
I play on my app. So I do know in my app my most played board game is Lords of Waterdeep, a
good one.
Dungeons
Classic.
and Dragons worker placer board game.
That's surprising.
There we go.
That's the one that we go to most frequently. If I were to do a number two, it probably would have to be I like longer, more epic games. Surprise, surprise, because I'm in a D&D campaign, right? So Batman Gotham City Chronicles is awesome. This is a scenario-based game. It's not really in print right now, but it's amazing for 2 to 4 players. Scythe is a really fun to come back to. I'm starting to fall out of love with Scythe, but it's been out for 8 years now. Gloomhaven, of course, classic. A game I really love that I don't get to play because it is a campaign game is Star Wars Imperial Assault. And then let's see.
I think this should be its own separate episode. Just Thomas going
Jacob,
through.
how many
Yeah.
board games do you own?
I own probably 15 different random little ones.
Do you have a favorite?
Do I have a favorite? My favorite is one that I don't own, that Thomas owns, and that I play every time I go
Same.
over. Thomas, what is it?
Is it Blood Rage?
Blood Rage, yeah.
Is it the car one?
Yeah,
It's Blood
it
Rage.
is.
Oh, Thunder Road Vendetta?
That one
No,
is fun
I
Thunder
don't-
too.
Road was so fun. We played that last time we were at the
showed up
Browers. That was
I've
so
never played that
fun.
though. Thunder Road Vendetta. I showed up
I
to a
liked it.
Thomas
Oh.
board game gathering, and I showed up 5 minutes too late. And he was
You were
playing it
late.
already. And so what did I do? I assigned myself to be the DJ.
Watched.
And anytime something happened,
Yeah.
Yes.
like, oh, you jump your car.
Yes, 'cause
I would
that
play.
has an app
I would
with
play
it.
jump. Jump.
Amazing.
And then anytime there was like
Incredible.
a fire, I'd play Shoot to Thrill. So yeah, that was my run
That's
on that.
fun.
But
That's a
Blood
fun game.
Rage is a
Yes,
very
Blood
fun
Rage,
game.
super fun. You can buy that on Steam, actually. You can buy Blood Rage on Steam. You can also play it on BoardGameArena.com, where you can play
can?
free board games. Yes, they have Blood Rage on board. We're just sponsoring everybody here.
I love Board Game
And,
Arena. We're big fans.
They have an annual subscription, which is only $30 for the whole year, where you can play like Scythe, Blood Rage, a bunch of really, really good games on there. And only one person needs the subscription to be able to invite everybody to play these premium.
But that's
games.
your
They're awesome.
favorite,
Blood Rage
you
is my
say.
favorite. I'm also a real big fan of the Hungry Hungry Hippos. Like it's just a classic to go back to with my 6-year-old, especially.
Did you play that in the arcade?
Thomas, this is
game?
my turn.
Like in the, if you go to all right.
Dude,
Wow.
You asked about board games.
Wow.
Look at me. I have the most board
We
games.
had a whole discussion before we started tonight's podcast of like waxing on too long on certain
I will
questions.
say
I don't
one
think
more.
And then somebody asked
or
about
Ned
board
have answered
games.
the board game question yet.
One
either.
more I'm going to plug real quick because this is my son's favorite game and he's 9, is Here to Slay. It's a card game and it's like you're creating a little party and you're fighting monsters, but it's all through cute little animals.
Cute.
Very great game.
Oh, that's
very fun
awesome.
game.
Very
It's
D&D.
a classic to go
Cute.
back to. You never really get bored because there's a bunch of ways to win and to try and strategize for it. So very fun.
Yeah.
That rules.
So yeah, I have maybe 24 games. My favorite board game is Betrayal Legacy.
Great.
It is the legacy version of Betrayal at House on the Hill. I have played through it twice in its entirety. I will happily
Wow.
play it again someday, even though it's out of print, and it costs way too much to buy. But yeah, one copy I left behind with Christian McKenna from Improv Tabletop, and the other copy I left behind with Thomas and Sammy Ryan from Improv Tabletop. So one of these days, I'll have my own copy that I'll hang on to, maybe.
Mickey?
I have probably less than 10 because every time we move, I find people like the Browers and the Griggs and the Grosbecks here that are board game people. So I don't ever buy the board games because I go to the board game people's houses that have the board games and they want to play the board games. My favorite of all time is Betrayal at the House on the Hill.
Classic.
Yeah.
With the Browers and the Rollins, one Halloween, we all dressed up as the characters
Wow.
of the game.
Wow, that's a
and
great.
played it to candlelight. It was the best. It's one of my favorite Halloweens that we ever had. In a similar vein, I also love Mansions of Madness.
Yes.
Similar game, different. I really like on the iPad and the different
I still
things
have
and-
that version of Betrayal that we would play. It's beat up so bad in my closet just because of how much we played it back in college. But
Oh my gosh. There was like, in college, there was like 2 months we played it like 3 times
it was
a
like
week.
the thing.
Whoa.
For like 2 months. That was
Broke,
all
starving,
the
young
Browers,
college
the Rollins, and
married people.
McMillans got together and we played Betrayal so much.
That's a very replayable game.
It was very fun.
I have somewhere between 40 and 50 board games. And there's a handful of them I've never played. I just own.
Sure. Yeah.
But my favorite would be I've probably put the most hours in on Settlers of Catan, but I think my favorite is Wingspan. I love that game.
Oh, that's a
I've not
beautiful
played that one.
game. That's a good one.
I love competitive games that aren't aggressive, where you're essentially just you have your own thing that you're doing.
And then somebody wins at the end.
Castles of Mad King Ludwig is another one like that, where you kind of have your own thing going on. But yes, excellent.
Good question.
So what I'm hearing is we need some Patreon exclusive
Not
live
everything needs
streams
to be
where we all play
content,
board
Thomas.
games online.
Not
let's just
everything will be
enjoy
content.
something, Thomas.
Listen,
Come
we're
on.
really fun to watch us like lose Gloomhaven over an hour.
Oh gosh, yeah, we would lose Gloomhaven. That would be rough. Yeah.
We lose
Yep.
Gloomhaven a lot.
Well,
Let's move
next
right
up,
along.
we got a character question.
Character question.
Character quest.
This is for Ned.
That's me.
Ned says, was Ataraxia playing matchmaker planned or just something that developed? Because I think it's a fun twist on the usual flirtatious bard. Makes everyone else fall for each other instead of you. Which
Yeah.
I think probably fits well
like
because
that.
you don't want
My
the
theory has
teenager
always been
playing
is he intentionally did that because he's a satyr, but I've never asked.
Oh, sure, that too.
What do you
Well,
think, Ned?
choosing to play a teenage bard is in part because there are certain D&D character tropes that I am very, very tired of. One of those being the excessively flirtatious bard. So I was like, I'm going to play a teenager who is too young to care about his own romance. And Ataraxia, it wasn't necessarily planned that he would try to help other people fall in love, but the plan from the beginning was that Ataraxia would be like the consummate hype man. And so I think it only makes sense that he would end up leaning in that direction.
So the satyr part was never part of it for you. It was never like
No, it was unintentional. though I don't think I've discussed this with Ataraxia yet. Part of the interesting thing with satyrs is they are a symbol in Greek and Roman mythology of hedonism in a lot of ways, that it is the satyr way to experience the biggest breadth of emotion possible, and Ataraxia is limited from being able to do that.
is interesting. He's a great character.
Oh, thank you. Next question. That is a Lonely Thomas question. Maybe one of these days we'll get to campaign moments.
It's me.
Thomas, what is the most in-depth planning you've had to do based on an improvised character moment?
So, like, he improvised something, and then because of that improvisation, he had to do a bunch of work afterwards.
Yeah, one of us did something crazy in the moment, and then Thomas has to be like, well,
Oh, yeah.
okay, let's figure
That's
this
how it
out.
is now. We would never do that.
What?
I think one of those moments, it has to be either, I can't think of a specific moment, but I do remember having to plan a lot for Malamara specifically. I remember Mickey having some moments that she would present that I was like, all right, I do need to plan quite a bit for this as a result. Season 1 spoilers, maybe for the next 2 minutes. Her brother, that whole interaction. I guess to go along with that, Fleeple's immediate response to attack everybody in the Bloody Bowl was an improv moment where I didn't have to plan, that I had planned a significant portion in there.
That we just skipped.
That was like, oh, and we just circumvent all of that with this improv. Great. So it had to have probably been a lot of Malamara's initial prep work, but Ned usually presents improv moments that drastically alter the story more consistently than anybody else in the cast, is what I'll say.
That's a very polite way of saying it.
It's unpolite. It's true.
Well,
It's wonderful. It's wonderful.
It's a wonderful. It's not bad. You can take it bad, but I don't think it's bad.
good to know. All right. Next up, that's going to be another Thomas question.
It's me.
Gonna have to start fudging these rolls after a while.
Hey,
We're
you
almost
have
out of
inspiration.
questions.
You have
Yes.
inspiration.
I have inspiration.
You do.
Reroll.
I'm ready.
Okay, are there any tips you have for adapting enemy stats to 5e from another system? Is it harder for you to adapt an enemy or just create one?
Yeah, it's incredibly difficult, I'll admit. I am not in the weeds. I have a lot of respect for a lot of actual plays who do this. I'm thinking Dungeon Dudes. I'm thinking Matthew Mercer. I'm thinking Darrington Press. I'm thinking of these people who create Kobold Press as well, who create 5e monsters that work in canon, like with the challenge rating and all of that. I just have not been able to pick up on that bone, that strength, if you will. So a lot of times I have to just go with my party. I know what my party is usually capable of. I know that these 4 players here, if I give them basic Kobold stuff, they're going to breeze through it super quickly in the caldera, right? Especially when we incorporate optional rules for cleave, things like that. And so I know that, like, well, I should probably tweak it a little bit here. I should maybe add an ability. But yeah, trying to convert things from Pathfinder to 5e, incredibly difficult. There's no formula that I've been able to find that I can actually follow, especially once you get into abilities, because Pathfinder is just so fundamentally different from 5e. What I will just initially do is I will try to find an equivalent of that monster in the monster manual, or like Volo's Guide to Monsters, things like that from the 5e official books. And then I'm like, all right, this is my standard. And if there are cool abilities in Pathfinder, like in the actual adventure that they have, I'm like, all right, will adding this make them too powerful? Will adding this special ability, because my players here at the table, they already need special abilities for monsters to make battles fun and not just mindlessly boring, to be exciting. And so that's where I've been able to work with this table specifically. But yeah, other tables, completely and hopelessly lost if I don't have the monster manual to fall back on.
Yeah, one of the nice things about being a DM, you can take any pre-existing stat block and say that it's something else.
No, you can't.
Why does this giant have all of these eye magic? It's just they can change their eye, just changes color, and it's really
it's magic.
a beholder stat.
It's magic.
It's a giant bird,
does
and it has
magic.
fire breathing ability. Don't ask me about the stats. It's a giant bird that breathes fire.
Yeah.
It's also resistant
It
to
has
non-magical
legendary
attacks.
actions.
All right, next up, that is Behind the Scenes.
Behind the scenes.
Behind the scenes.
So, first part of this question is, how long does a recording episode? What does recording one episode usually?
Hour and 15 minutes.
Is that true, Mickey?
Yeah, that's what we normally record for an hour and a half.
Okay.
Or hour 15. We
And
record
then-
for.
Probably our average-ish.
And then this one zeroes in probably more to Mickey's bag, but how much general chatter, silence from looking stuff up, or off-topic discussion ends up getting cut?
A healthy 10 minutes probably of every episode is between the silences, between taking out chatter, figuring out the jokes, and just getting it into a streamline. Because we record for about an hour 15-ish, and then we try to keep the episode ends up being about an hour. I don't try to keep it down to an hour. That's just what it usually ends up being after all of the
Just
things.
naturally.
I often will look, because I'll truncate the silence on it and see how much I've cut from it from our raw. And I always am interested to see how much we really cut out. Sometimes I'm like, whoa, that was 5 minutes of silence I just cut out.
Can you think of a time there was a bunch? Is there an episode that stands out in your memory?
Normally when we haven't recorded for a while, we'll be really silly. And we just we enjoy playing together. And so when we get together, we just like to chat. Or when we get on a bit, the bit will go for a while. And part of my job as the editor is deciding, one, if the bit needs to stay in. And if it does stay in, how long does the bit need to go? Because as you're riffing on it, it's so fun. But if you're just listening to it, after it becomes tedious or monotonous, or you're not in it. So I have to balance where that is. It's usually when we haven't recorded for a while, we'll go on
I'm
big
as hard
tangents.
as teeth, and I'm in your mouth.
That whole episode is just
whole
bit after
episode.
bit after bit after bit.
Yeah.
We were very silly.
Or once
that episode.
when we level up, usually the first battle after we level up is another one that a lot of us
That's
are in
fair.
our books and it
Abilities.
takes
Yeah.
a long time. Yeah.
But that episode we just referenced the joke from is not in the section we are currently covering. So just so we're clear.
For me, one of the worst parts of editing is when I'm like, this bit doesn't need to be in here, and take it out. And then 20 minutes later, we
They
re-reference
reference
the
it
bit.
again, and then I have to go back.
Drives me crazy when inside jokes or jokes from the prep before the recording get into the episode. For some that,
I try to cut
We've
those
done
ones
that
down.
before. Yeah.
I think Jacob loves doing that on purpose.
He does. He absolutely does. How can I make this difficult?
All right, next up, that is a campaign moment question.
Campaign.
Yes, me. Okay, so listen. This question has two parts to it. It's a really long question. I'm going to break it up into two parts. So when we come back to the campaign moment, I'm going to have a follow-up question. Because I think that this question is really important for people who play at TTRPG tables and those who listen to know how to navigate this, that it's not just their table, that lots of tables deal with this. It is about interpersonal conflict. There was a lot of interpersonal conflict when our characters were trying to amend relationships in this specific block of episodes. This was, as a player, one of my favorite blocks because I just really like character conflict. So they ask, how are you as players feeling about your characters' relationships how your characters' relationships have continued to develop? Has it gone the way you expected? Have you changed your character in response to these conflicts? Either as a natural character development / response they would have had to this conflict, or a purposeful change you had to make to help the story go along. This is the blow up on the beach and into the sahuagin
He's just a kid,
hatchery
right?
and all of that. Yeah, this is one of our first big blow ups and first big amends.
Big payoff at the end of it. Yeah. The relational stuff afterwards. That's I Love Someone, right? I was after the
Yeah.
Sahuagin.
I loved someone once. Yep. I remember when we were doing these episodes, there was a little bit of we had a long discussion after one of our recording sessions. And I remember for me as a player going, I know that my character needs to apologize to keep this relation, to repair these relationships. But my character is an evil character. So how do I was really struggling, how do I get my character to apologize in character that feels natural and normal, it's not a shark jump for her to do. And I felt really incongruent with that. And then we had a big discussion, and as we were talking and filling out our characters and where our characters kind of were, through that, I was like, oh, this is how I can do that. I can weave an apology into connection, and something that she really struggles with is this connection and working through all of that. And so talking to each other, I think, was really key when we were going through this conflict.
I think one thing that I ran into that was kind of an unforeseen sort of effect of Ataraxia being the way that I made him is I, Ned the person, really don't get along very well with that degree of like interpersonal conflict we were having in this arc. But I had a character who was incapable of feeling bad at it, so I couldn't express through my character that I was uncomfortable with the situation. Mm-hmm. And so it did take us having that discussion outside of playing the episode for me to kind of start explaining some of those things. And there's like this weird thing that happens when we're playing games like this where because the game itself happens in this fake world and we all kind of buy into that fake world, I know for me at least, it kind of skews my brain to feel like, okay, we need to come up with ways to resolve everything within this fake world. And we don't talk about it outside of this fake world. We just keep playing the game, and eventually we'll find a way to do it through the characters. Surprise, that doesn't always happen. So there are some things that you do need to actually resolve in real life, it turns out.
Do you have any thoughts there, Jacob?
I'm good. No, I'm sorry.
I feel like you were very invested in a lot of that conflict. So I'm really curious what you think.
You did bear a lot of that. Yeah, Max bore a lot of that conflict.
It's just my cross to bear. No, I would say I think something that I learned from those experiences and something that is fun to play with in doing the RPing of Dungeons and Dragons is you have your character and you have your character's beliefs and you have your character's system and everything. And when you can have moments where, like we have, where characters can disagree or can discuss different approaches and stuff. But it's interesting, especially as our audience will see as the episodes keep coming out. We might even be on this part right now. It's just not where our word of recall is answering. It's interesting to approach something where it's like, oh, my character would say no to this, or my character would react negatively to this, or my character would want, whatever it might be. Option A, my character would want that. It's interesting to me to go, but why would my character choose option B? Like, why would my character, instead of reacting negatively to this, somehow react positively? Or if Buster brings something up where it feels like there's an attack. I'm using this as a random reference. It's not like this is an actual event that happens. But if Buster says something that Max would disagree with, or Max feels like is attacking him, or Max feels like that's going against what I think, it'd be interesting. I've tried to adopt more and more as we've gone throughout the campaign of what would make Max agree with that, or what would make Max go along with that, and finding that reasoning to establish, because then it creates a lot more. It just creates a lot more. One, it falls into the line of the improv principle of yes and two, it also creates very interesting ways I would never expect my character to go. And I think we are all finding that more and more as we continue, is how my character in a nutshell would do this. But yeah, characters changing, characters developing is taking the odd choice, is taking the choice that you wouldn't have initially taken maybe episode 1 through 20 or whatever it might be. So that's, I guess, my thoughts toward this question is how you're dealing with interpersonal conflict is obviously you establish your character and what they believe and what they follow and what they would do, and see how many times you can twist that, especially when it creates opportunity to cooperate and to play along with each other.
Yeah, I think we definitely see these examples. This particular block of episodes, since we finished this, we've started seeing like even more accelerated kind of change and introspection coming from the characters. There is something kind of inherent about the form of a team-based role-playing game that even though you might look at your character and say, based on who they are or maybe the perception I have of them, they would probably do this. But for the sake of the team, that we're playing with, for the sake of the fact that this is a collaborative game, we're going to try and see if there's another way that we can go about this. And, one of the things, we did an interview for Geek Dad recently, and one of the things that was pointed out in that article that I was really touched by was Rory talking about how we as a group are surprisingly good examples of like good growth and good interpersonal interactions and whatnot. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's been really cool seeing that growth in the subsequent episodes. Like, I've played with people in the past who aren't willing to change their characters, that they just hold to their original idea of who that character is, even at the detriment of the crew. And I don't play D&D with those people anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, I think it's always important is know what everybody at the table is comfortable with. And sometimes you step in it and you realize you hit something that people aren't comfortable with, and being willing to have the conversation and not be like, it's your problem that you have a problem, or it's my problem because I made a problem. Like getting rid of the whole the blaming anybody thing, but just coming to the table and being like, hey, we want to play a game that we're all invested in. So how do we find a space to engage at that level? I've played in games where it's Power Rangers, everybody's on board and nobody's questioning the teamwork. We're all already there, just ready to jump in. And I've played the games where the story almost got completely sidetracked because of the interpersonal conflict taking forefront, and that was just as much fun. It really is who's at the table and what do they want to play and what are they comfortable with. But I talked to Ned about this in our bonus podcast, the Roll With It episode, and I think it ties into what Jacob even was just talking about, how there is a degree of the dice kind of tell me who my character is as I'm playing it. And I think in the very similar way, my fellow players tell me who my character is as I'm playing it. And being okay, who Buster is going to be developed by this team. And he's going to become somebody who would be part of this team. But figuring that out is kind of it's a give and take, a push and pull between who everybody else's characters are and who I am. And one thing that outside of the talking to everybody at the table about how you want to play, one of the things that I personally as a role player have found very valuable is hearing the inner monologue of my fellow PCs. As they're making decisions, because it's just narrative. Yeah. It's strictly just narrative. It's when Jacob talked about Max seeing what Ignis and Buster had done in the hatchery, and how that made him wonder if he could stay with the group at all. Buster doesn't need to hear that, but Josh does. And and there is and there's something very valuable, even if you're not producing a podcast for people to hear, there's something very valuable about your fellow players knowing the internal monologue as narratively for your character. It's a way of you kind of giving them a clue where you want to go or where your direction of your character is. And it's a great way to just key everybody in. I really love that stuff. And we do it all the time on episodes. That's just probably one of the best examples.
I think as players, we do that a lot. I also really commend, I think Thomas does that a lot for us too. I really like when he specifically is what is your character feeling or thinking in this moment? He just has a really natural sense of this character needs a moment to have an inner monologue, and allowing space to have that for our characters, I think is really cool. If it's all right, I'd like to ask the second part of this question while we're still talking, because this is something that I feel really passionate about, and I like to pull a curtain back a little bit on, we are good friends. We are all very good friends, and we have had personal conflict at this table. We have had a conversation that something had happened between us, and we took a week where we did not talk to each other, and then we came back to the table and was okay, listen, I'm sorry about this. And we kind of all had a moment where we were able to come together and talk about what happened and our feelings about it and apologize and get back on the same page. And I think that that's really healthy to recognize that that's an okay thing to do, that it's an okay thing to request an apology. It's okay to say, hey, this bothered me. And I think it's our responsibility as friends, we're players at a table, but as friends to be hey, let me check myself. This person said they need that, not be defensive, and let me really hear what you're saying about it. And so the second part of this question is, with the sometimes extreme conflict of interest happening while recording, what methods do you use to differentiate in characters' desires from personal desires. I love how there are times where it's stated like, this character is conflicted, but I'm having a good time. So like, what are other signals you use if the role play starts getting personal? What do you feel like those signs are built in, or you need to be built in at your table to allow for a space where, or like, what have we done that did allow for that time when we had interpersonal conflict and needed to request apology and apologize to each other?
I think two things come to my mind with that question. One is you just read the room, but in the sense of like read the room, and also it's okay to like, I mean, we're recording something and we're creating a story that's not typical for most people's D&D, playthrough. It's okay to take a pause, like to be like, yeah, Ned, I feel like I made a wrong choice, or I pissed off your character. Are we okay? And then just have a brief conversation around it. And if it's a Ned being honest to saying like, I got to think about it for a little bit, then it's like, yeah, all right, let's think about it. And we'll come back to it later. That's okay too. I think having a moment where you have to very clearly in your mind be like, this is a game. I can pause the game and just talk to the person.
Yeah.
Because the person's my friend and I want to just talk to them.
Yeah.
And then there's also the time of either in that moment, or if you decide, yeah, let's take a break and think about it and we'll get back to it later. Any time, and even the time that Mickey's referencing where it's like, okay, we need to take a break, we'll come back together and talk about it. At least this is how I tried to approach it, and I'm not saying like I did so well, but it helped me in how can we come together in moving forward. Not like what I want is what's going to happen and I need to prove it. It's no, how can we come together? And maybe some of the things that I want can happen, but I need to make sure I am available to listen to others, because really if it was the dream world in my mind where everyone's going to agree with the way I want to move forward, that's not fun. For anybody else. Like, you're here to have fun together, and that means you focus on the way Ned has fun sometimes, and you focus on the way Josh has fun sometimes, and Mickey and Jake and maybe Thomas. But you focus on that of how can I make sure we come together so everyone can have an enjoyable experience. And those two things I think help the most, is make sure you're humans first, characters second, and then find ways to come together, because that's what a cooperative game is.
Oh yeah. Also, go to therapy. Have a therapist.
Yep.
If you're taking game stuff personally all the time, either you have a really mean table that's being very personable to you, or you need to talk to a therapist. Actually do some digging. Like, why is this thing feeling personal to me? That's not actually personal. It's a good internal question to ask.
Josh, I think that you're the one who does this the best of all of us. Of like, Buster is so conflicted, but listen, Josh is having a good time. Like,
I always try and clarify.
I'm fully, and I do appreciate that as a player, because I do like the conflict, and I am a conflict-driven player. But I also know that people at my table are not necessarily that. And so what Jake was saying of like, I want to make it fun for the other people, not just like cause conflict all the time, because that's what I like. And so like the check-in of like, no, I'm still having a good time, or I'm enjoying whatever's going on, I think is a good check-in.
Yeah. But there is, always a give and take. I mean, give and take in relationships. Imagine. Where like, I mean, I'm the person who doesn't like conflict, and Mickey's the one who likes conflict. And we've acknowledged that about the way that we interact with each other.
Yeah.
But I don't want to be like, Mickey, don't bring interpersonal conflict to the table. Like, remove that from our game entirely, because I know it's something that Mickey really enjoys and helps her add depth to her character and to the story. Sure. And like, conflict in general is a good way to add depth to a story, but
it's
we
not
are
the
aware
only
of
way
that.
when Ned wants to play a different way, and I as a good player and as a friend like want you to have a good time at the table, so taking that into account.
Yeah, and us being aware of that, we now have that groundwork where we can be like, okay, how are we feeling about this level of where it's at?
One thing to add to Jacob, I think if you need to take a pause, I think it's helpful to ask for everybody to take a break. That way you're not asking in front of 6 other people, hey, did I offend you when I said your legs are small? And you can, pull them off to the side being like, hey man, look, I didn't want to in front of everybody here. Like, I know I might have ruffled your feathers. Don't want to ruffle them in front of other people too.
Listen, man, everybody at the table has paid for the pizza once, and you've never paid for the pizza when we get together.
In front of everybody. But the other thing I was going to say, which I can see how it ties in really well with what especially Mickey and Ned just said, is what Jacob and others have said earlier in this episode, this word of recall, of finding ways of how your character is being changed by the party, right? When you have that mentality for your character, that flexibility is going to allow, and I think Josh, you said it too, of the dice tell the story, but also my other players at the table are also helping me decide who Buster is going to be or who blank is going to be as well. So having that flexibility will allow for some stretching when conflict happens, and then implementing everything else that everybody said. If it gets too flexible, right? Like if it gets too hard past your own personal flexibility at that point. But yeah,
it's always
just
better.
Having that mentality.
It's always better when you let things change. It's always better. Like let other people influence it.
Letting it go and letting the narrative be decided by everybody instead of just one person, unless you're the DM and me, because I am the DM now.
Sorry, that was a long answer to that question. I just fear that when you listen to podcasts, you're seeing stuff for content, and then you don't see that reflected at your table, or you make assumptions about what other people's tables are. I just wanted this one to be I just wanted a real good look at. It's okay to have conflict, and it's okay to acknowledge conflict, and it's okay to work through conflict and stand up for what you need.
Fair.
So
yeah. And as we've illustrated, this has been a learning process for us as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it can be a learning process for you too. Look at that.
And that's okay.
And honestly, this whole arc is very flavored by that conflict. So I'm glad we took some time to dive into it.
Mm-hmm. All right, next up we got character question.
Character questions. This is, I think, for everybody, really. It says, earlier, y'all talked about a lie each of your characters believed. Has anything happened that has shaken your character's belief in that lie? And what was it?
This
was specifically toward... Oh, sorry to interrupt you, Ned. I was just referencing, this is, I believe, in our background episodes that we did. That was one of the questions brought up, is what is a character or a lie your character might believe in?
Yeah, mine was that I was open to the idea of it being a lie, that we don't actually know whether it's a lie or not. The question of, is Ataraxia actually just a 13-year-old boy?
13-year-old.
At this point, I've settled on the idea that it's going to be so boring if he really is just a 13-year-old kid.
Yes, Ned! Yes!
I don't know. I mean, here I am, letting my character be changed. I am a comet pulled from orbit as it passes the sun.
Hey.
But yeah, if we get to the end of this campaign and it's look at that. I'm just a 13-year-old kid. It's going to be so unsatisfying. I don't know how that's going to manifest. Thomas and I will figure that out when we get to the moment, I'm sure.
Furiously writing down notes.
Yeah.
I know that Ignis's lie was something about her understanding of emotion, and it's fully tied into her whole character arc. So I don't remember exactly what it was, but it is definitely changing because that's the whole point of her character, is to find that acceptance within herself of what she deems to be broken.
I think it was angels
feel
can't love or
it was
something
about,
like that,
and that's
right?
this whole block is kind of where that was introduced in the storyline, was about that she doesn't believe that she can love, and as more of that comes out later and will continue to come out because there's more there, does have definitely changing her feeling on accepting those emotions, and that it's okay to feel those emotions, and seeing the reflection of her crewmates being mortal and feeling those emotions changes her.
I think Buster's lie was that you can leave the past behind and don't have to deal with it. You can just move on. And the payoff, the emotional reprise to all the tension, I feel like was a very direct contradiction to his internal lie was when Ataraxia finally is like, Buster, what are you afraid of? And like just forces him to face the past like that, like so earnestly and innocently. Yeah, it was really good.
I believe my lie, which I can't recall the exact one, but I believe it was the idea of basically like when chance or when something happens, Max is kind of like, well, that's just what has to be. That's what it's destined to be. Almost not taking responsibility to it. Not that he thinks it's predetermined or that like things are planned out, but like once it happens, that's what's meant to happen. And so why question it? Where Max is now, especially
like
with
destiny,
more and more as things develop with the deck of many things, he will start to realize like there's consequences and actions affect, and I need to be a little bit more responsible to how that can affect. And I think he hasn't given up on. He still has a very firm belief in chance and in chance being fate, meaning like your choices are your fate. But I don't think it's the idea of like, well, then it's meant to happen. It's, well, no, that's what happened. So now what are you going to do about it? It's the next step, which maybe is breaking the lie that he previously was thinking.
Good question.
Booyah.
Nice.
All right. Next up, this is a campaign moment.
Campaign moment.
Which member of the lower decks, Blood Twist, Shimmer Cream, Tullamore, Spoon Slug Soup, Wesley Usher, and Danny Boy is your favorite, and which is your least favorite? And I can tell you with full honesty that me both as Mickey as the character and me Ignis as the person, as I said that totally backwards. Me Mickey as a person and me Ignis as a character.
Who's really
I
in
just
control?
don't care about any of them. I don't have a favorite. I don't have a least favorite. I can't even tell you the difference between any of them besides Wesley Crusher, Usher, because it's not Crusher. I'm so glad my character doesn't care because I just don't care.
I'll say Spoon Slug. That's my favorite. I wish we need to highlight him more and more. I'm really excited for future episodes where we get to really shine light on him.
Yeah. Danny Boy speaks the least, I think, so I think he's my favorite. Wesley speaks the most, so he's my least favorite.
Danny Boy's a mute, actually.
Yeah. Oh, there we go. See? See, it works.
Even better. Yeah, no, I definitely think Spoon Slug Sludge Soup is
Spoon Sludge Slug Soup.
Shoot.
It's my favorite of the names.
Why can't you say it?
And
Sure,
I love his, like, he used to be a patisserie chef or something like that. Like, he, like,
I think that was Blood Twist Shimmer Cream.
No, that was Blood Twist.
Oh, Blood Twist Shimmer Cream, yeah.
I don't like any of them.
You
I don't
make
like
the
any of them, guys.
croissants.
I don't like any of them. They all suck. Me and Buster have the same mind.
See?
Shut up, Wesley.
Every time they breathe,
There
they're
we
sucking
go.
up air the rest of us could use for better.
I like the concept of the lower deck characters. I just
I
don't
do
care
too.
about them individually.
Yes, yes. You know what? My favorite is Cabin Boy Thomas. Cabin Boy Thomas is my favorite.
There we go. Next question. Campaign moment.
Campaign moment.
We've mentioned last season that we regretted revealing our characters' backstories or going through their arcs too quickly or too slowly. How are we feeling with our pacings of our characters this season so far? I'm pretty happy with it. I'm feeling really good. I'm feeling fulfilled. Feeling good. Anyone else?
I feel like this word of recall is too early for me to start talking about ataraxia.
Yeah.
Join us next Word of Recall for an answer to the question.
This was a big arc for Ignis. So this specific arc was a lot that I loved because I love the conflict. I was able to get out the like angels can't love thing and the inference that she had a lover before and that she wasn't supposed to, like all of that kind of catalyst things, and it was the conflict into the resolution and her finally like connecting with Max and her needing to connect with Buster and make those apologies that has like springboarded a lot of like my stuff in the campaign. So like this specific block has been, I think, one of my favorites of the whole arc so far as like character growth for my character, because it was all my favorite kind of play stuff that is hard sometimes to be at a table, but I liked it a lot.
Yeah, I mean, you start realizing more and more of Max's backstory for this character arc. So it definitely is progressing in the right direction, and you get to know even more in the next little bit.
Yeah, I think in general we learned a lot about pacing our characters and their arcs from the last campaign, and I think it's just in general been pretty great for this campaign.
I will always feel as the dungeon master like I'm not doing enough, or that I'm not pacing enough, or giving more moments, because I have so much more knowledge or like ideas. But I do think compared to season 1, everyone is more aware of it and contributing to the pacing a lot more, and like being more like, I'd like to explore this about my character or other characters a lot faster. And so, yeah.
There is a narrative thing. This is good for anybody telling stories. The longer you stay in one like emotion or zone, the bigger the payoff is going to need to be, like when you shift. So like if you're being super mysterious, if you spend a ton of time being mysterious, the revelation has to be a pretty big payoff. The longer the mystery, the bigger the payoff needs to be. And when you're in turmoil and conflict for super long, the emotional resolution has to be big to pay off. And I remember being in the middle of all of this sahuagin dungeon crawl, being like, it's so conflicted. Like, we're going to have to pay off this emotionally so big if it's going to be worth the wait. And being nervous, like, can we meet the moment? And it was just, I loved Someone Once or whatever. That episode is one of my favorite episodes because I did not expect it to crescendo like that whole arc as well as it did. It felt so good at the table, and even on a re-listen was really satisfying.
I think we've got time for one more.
All right. Executive decision, character question.
This one's for everybody, and it says, it's sorry, just an accent there that I didn't mean to. It says, oh my gosh,
This is
I can't believe he died.
Oh, hi, Jacob. A character question.
Let's put a pen in that. Okay. It seems like as players and DM, you guys want to use the deck of many things a lot and embrace the chaos. But as characters, you are having to face the very real and sometimes terrifying consequences of those cards. How are you as players balancing that contradiction?
For me, it means letting people use the deck at all, basically.
Oh. I really like, Jake, that you found a character motivation to use it, especially in this block of episodes.
Yeah.
Because I too have a conflict emotionally with it, but hearing like in character you found a reason that to use it to like weed out or like to test the other captains we were coming in contact with, and all of that story-wise just made so much sense that I was like, okay, yeah, I'm down using this deck because it feels motivated by the character, not just like us as players wanting to be chaotic or us as players fearing the chaos. I like that you had come up with a really genius way of doing that.
Up to this part of the campaign, it was really important that Buster not know the deck was being used. Josh is very conscious.
That payoff later is really good too. I really like that episode is another favorite of mine.
I don't think that's in this chunk that we're covering.
Not yet.
But
Not
yeah,
yet.
I do think I tried to keep Buster ignorant for the sake of letting the deck get used again and again and again.
I had, which I've discussed a little bit before, I had major conflict to it because one, this was not supposed to, well, it wasn't planned. Like, getting a deck was not planned. It was part of a backstory I had written to Thomas that he had drawn from a deck at one point, but that wasn't like my plan of like, ooh, it's a way to get it into the story that I can have a deck. Like, that was not an idea I had at all. I was just like, oh, we could like bring in this mythos from the world of Dungeons and Dragons and see it being used but not actively being used. And then Thomas threw it at us and I'm like, holy crap. And the Jacob side of it,
but it was
I want to
planned.
use it a lot because I think it's very fun. But the other side of it, we are building a world and we're building characters, and you have to be careful with those people. It's not like many people say, it's a world breaker. It's a game ruiner, this item. And especially for a podcast, that's hard to incorporate because you can't ruin the world, or you it can take you on some side quests, but you don't want it to break. the thing.
That's what was so genius about your solution, was that we got to use it without lasting consequences because it was on the NPCs.
With no lasting consequences. Tell that to Agasta Smythe.
You know what?
Also,
No
like,
lasting
Well, that's where like
consequences to
it's
us.
that fine balance of like we're in a fantasy world, things happen, and that's like it's just the chaotic nature of it all. But then at the same time, you're like, but we want to play a real story with real feeling people as much as possible in a fantasy world, and there are actually consequences.
Can't have so much chaos that there's no connective
it would be
tissue
such a
between moment to
bummer if we
moment.
never used it. Like, it feels so good that
Yeah.
we used it as much as we did. I say
Yeah.
we. I was never involved.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
On
in
purpose.
terms of like, my sort of initial hesitancy to use it is because as a DM, I have read through every single card. And I at one point went through and I organized out a list of okay, these are the good ones. These are the bad ones. These are the ones that could maybe be good or maybe be bad. I had done that analysis in my mind and feel like the weight towards the bad stuff is pretty
The good is good,
outsized.
but the bad is really bad.
It's so
Yeah.
bad. It swings for the fences.
But what Jacob was saying about finding reasons to make your character do the thing that they might not otherwise do, just to add interest to the story, whatever you do, you draw from the deck of many things, it's going to make the story more interesting. That is something you can say about the deck of many things. And in some regard, with us being a very performative group, recording this so that other people are going to listen to it because they want an interesting story, to some degree, the deck of many things is what you want to use because it's bound to make your story more interesting.
I'm just going to call this out, and I don't know if it's true or not. I don't think we need to have an answer, okay, just to be clear. But every time the deck of many things has been drawn from, Thomas handles the roll and the draw and what card would happen to be pulled. And maybe the DM is being careful with the story and not throwing one of our players into an alternate dimension, even if that card is the one that got
I'm just
picked.
saying, he set me up for some hard stuff. I'm just letting you know.
I'm just saying,
All we're saying is
We don't have
you
to
don't know
know.
what happens behind the DM screen. That
We don't have
happens
to
behind
know.
the DM
Nobody
screen.
knows.
In a
That's
future
the DM
episode, he
prerogative.
might be
Yeah.
heavily implying
cool
that I
DM.
should try, and I do, and it, it doesn't work out.
like maybe there's a card that summons a literal Grim Reaper that attacks you, and if anybody tries to help you, a Grim Reaper is summoned to attack them, and so on and so on and so on and so on and so on.
Maybe, just
throwing out options.
Maybe that could have happened but didn't. You know what I mean? Like, that's like a possibility. Thomas?
One of my favorite Whose Line Is It Anyway / improv games, one of my favorite ones to watch and perform in, is Blind Lines, where you get random suggestions from the audience about fun, popular things, and then as you are performing a random scene, you have to pull a line out and you have to say it and justify it in the narrative. That's the deck of many things to me in this campaign. As chaotic and as crazy as it is, it's all right, none of us know what's going to happen, and you know what? We're going to have to roll with this. Now, I'm not going to just completely end a campaign, right? But how can I...
He'll let a lot of bad things happen first.
How can I, as a DM, allow these seemingly game-breaking cards come out to tell a story? How would a Grim Reaper coming out, theoretically, we say, how would that enhance the story? If it wouldn't enhance the story, and if I can't find a way to enhance the story that way, then is it really giving any value to anybody at the table, despite what it says in the book? At that point, no. It would have to be something to the effect of maybe asking my players, how could we justify this to be true to the source material, true to the suggestion we've received, but then also make it really fun, really interesting. Anyway.
Trust your DMs, guys. That's all I'm saying. Is
trust your...
Nope.
Is this a new slogan?
Nope,
the
not
first time I've
endorsed.
heard it?
No.
no,
endorsed.
you didn't let me finish.
dang
I said
it.
trust your DMs.
Your direct message.
Trust your DMs unless you can't. Then never do.
Oh, unless you can. Important caveat.
Well, folks, this has been a fun Word of Recall going over these episodes. Thanks for everybody who's submitted stuff, and I'm excited to do the next Word of Recall and already having the next block of episodes pretty much ready to receive questions. So if you didn't get your question answered here, or if you have another question about the next block that we're going to be doing, go ahead and get ready to send them our way.
Don't wait. Go now. Ask them now. Send them in. We keep record.
There you go. But I just want to say thanks to the cast, as always, Mickey, Josh, Jacob, and Ned. Thank you so much for being here and talking about our characters in this fantasy made-up world that we've got going on. But listeners, thank you for being so invested in this fun fantasy world that we've got going on here in Skulls and Shackles. If you want to reach out to us, you know where to find us. icastfireball2020@gmail.com. Our socials at icastfireball20. But the more frequent and consistent way to reach us, patreon.com/icastfireball20, where they have a $5 tier, and you can join into our Discord chat. If you want to reach out to some other special people, special podcasts, we have our sister podcast, Improv Tabletop, where they've got a ton of fun episodes where they go through mini 1-month adventures using the Fate Accelerated campaign settings. But they also have Avatar Legends, meaning the Avatar The Last Airbender. And then they also have Dungeon World classic fantasy campaigns that they've got going on in their Patreon. So go give them a check out. Go give them a listen. Lastly, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your friends and fellow wacky adventurers. But until next time, I'm Thomas, your DM, and around the table we have...
I'm Mickey, and I play Ignis Halcon.
I'm Jacob, and I play Maximus Shuns.
I'm Ned, and I play Ataraxia Kalian.
And I'm Josh. From Cradle to Grave, I'm Buster Bilgewater.
Let's keep that forward going, everybody, and we'll see you all next time.